Hi everyone, Velvet here, and in this one, OP's mother-in-law won't stop following him. Let's get to it. Our first story comes from Immediate Law 132. Am I the beehole for telling my parents' guests that my room has cannabis candy everywhere, but they're still welcome to let their kids play in it? I live at home and pay rent. I graduated from university and I have a good job and I don't mind contributing to my household. It's a nicer neighborhood than I could afford to live in otherwise, and it's close to the bus route that takes me right to work. I keep all of my belongings in my room, including my computer, my television, and my gaming consoles. My parents often host family and friends who have children that are bored because my parents really have nothing for kids since all of my older siblings and myself got old. I thought I was being nice when I brought up an old Switch and hooked it up in the family room and added it to my account. That way the kids can play Mario or Zelda and my stuff gets left alone. Recently, my aunt came over with my young cousins. They played for a while, but got bored and wanted to see what other games I had. I said my room was off limits, and my mom and aunt immediately tried to get me to let them in. I said no problem, but make sure you don't eat any of my candy or gummies they see in my room because they're all weed edibles. Nope, my aunt almost put her kids behind her like she was protecting them from the devil. My mom said that I could clean up my room and put them somewhere safe. I reminded her that we agreed that if I was paying rent, I got privacy in my room. My dad agreed with me, and he got a locking door handle from the garage and installed it while my mom fumed. He has everything in that garage. My mom said I'm being rude by not sharing my stuff with guests. I asked my aunt if I could borrow her car to go out with some friends, and she immediately said no. I said it was rude not to share, and she called me a smart posterior. I went to my room and put on my noise-canceling headphones and played Diablo and had a couple of gummies from my stash in the back of my closet where I kept them. No, I'm gonna say no, you're not the beehole. I think your mother and your aunt are very entitled, and I think you're actually being quite nice bringing out a Switch for people to play. And that is your room. You don't have to tidy it up. And I think you're doing the right thing. You gave them a heads up. Hey, you can come in the room, but don't eat the edibles in the room. Our next story comes from Zealous Idea T 5062. Am I the beehole for refusing to stop kissing my own baby? My husband, a 25-year-old male, and I, a 25-year-old female, have a 6-week-old daughter. She is our first baby and the first grandchild in both of our families. We were advised by our pediatrician not to allow anyone besides ourselves to kiss our baby for the first 8 to 12 weeks minimum. This has been communicated to both of our families who have been respectful of this, as well as our other boundaries/rules, despite a little bit of grumbling of it from his side. Last week, we were all over at my in-laws' house and I had just finished breastfeeding my daughter, so she was sleepy and I kissed her forehead before setting her down to nap on my chest. My mother-in-law noticed and immediately remarked on it in a super passive-aggressive manner. Oh, I'm glad that we're able to kiss baby now. Did your pediatrician update the rules? I was super confused and asked her what she meant and that the pediatrician's recommendation hadn't changed. She then accused me of violating my own rules by kissing my own baby. I told her that the recommendation was that no one besides myself and my husband kiss our daughter. And she argued and heavily implied that I was being dishonest because I had previously said, nobody can kiss the baby, rather than nobody but my husband and I can kiss the baby. She went on and on about this until I snapped and said it should have been obvious that the rules we told her regarding our baby were about what we/wouldn't allow other people to do. She called me a hypocrite, so I got up and shut myself in the guest room while my daughter continued to nap on me. A little while later, mother-in-law came in and apologized, claiming it was just a knee-jerk reaction and she was just confused and upset. She said she understands now and that the rule only applies to other people. She then asked me if I would avoid kissing my baby in front of her until she's allowed to do so as well, because it's upsetting to see me do that and knowing that she can't. I told her I can understand that it's frustrating to have a strong urge to kiss a baby and not be able to, but I am personally not going to stop kissing my own baby for the sake of her feelings. Mother-in-law is calling me disrespectful and a hypocrite and has gotten son-in-law on board with this as well. Am I the beehole? No, OP, no, you are not the beehole. What's next? She's gonna tell you to stop breastfeeding in front of her? And I don't know if you have, but you should tell your spouse about this so he can step in and handle this, because that is his mother and he should be the one to clean that up. Our third and final story comes from Risk3-1. Am I the beehole for initially refusing my mother-in-law to follow us to our new house? My fiance and I collected the keys to our new house yesterday, and without even asking, her mom just texted her that she'll be meeting us at our new place and she'll come along when we open our house for the first time. Under normal circumstances, I would have usually been okay with it. However, due to some history with her mother, I wanted to set boundaries with her mother and thus told my fiance that I'm not going to allow her to follow us today, and I felt this was our moment. I told my fiance she could tell her mom that we'll bring her over on the weekend instead. While my fiance agreed and told her mom that, her mom was insistent on following. My fiance broke down and cried as she felt caught between the both of us. The reason why I refused to allow her mother to come along was because she has a tendency of being controlling and overstepping our boundaries. For example, when I met her to ask for her blessings to propose to my fiance last year, she outright told me that she expects me to follow all her traditions and told me that she hates my religion. I'm Christian, and I'm not allowed to have a church wedding. Even during the actual proposal last year, her mother actually ruined my proposal plan, which I shared with her. As my actual plan was ruined, I had to come up with an impromptu proposal at another location which her mother did not follow. However, when my fiance happily showed her ring to her mom got angry and said, "Why didn't you do it in front of me?" That ended up ruining our happy mood and my fiance became disappointed due to her mom's reaction. These are just some examples of how her mother tends to overstep her boundaries and how she likes to make my fiance and I significant in all events about her. I felt this way when she forcibly tried to come along with us on our first day seeing our house. However, I couldn't bear seeing my fiance cry and I felt like the villain of the story for making things difficult for her. Therefore, I decided to compromise and allow her mother to follow. However, what I fear came true. At our new house, her mother started doing her traditions and rituals to bless the house without consulting me. My fiance doesn't exactly follow her mother's beliefs, and she even started commenting on how we need to follow feng shui, layout, and stuff. I respectfully told her that we won't be following it as we do not practice it. I regretted letting her mother come along, but I didn't want my fiance to be caught in between as well. Would I be the beehole for initially refusing her mother from following, or would I be the beehole for giving in? I'm at a loss here and would like to hear your views. You are not the beehole here. I think your fiance needs to step in and set boundaries with her mother and handle this, because she's going to keep coming after you guys until you put your foot down. Personally, for me, this would probably be a reason to put the wedding on hold until you get this handled. Because think about this, you want to marry into this type of crazy? You want to deal with this the rest of your life? It sounds like your fiance's, afraid of her mother and won't, like I said, put her foot down. Think about your future, man. Do you want that stress? I'm not saying don't do it, but you need to handle this problem before it gets crazy and before you're married into that family. Alright, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Can you please do me a huge favor? Like, comment, and subscribe. It'll really help the channel out. Velvet out.